On this week of Building the Brand, it's a little bit harder of a conversation because we had our largest client cancel their contract in the last week, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Hey everybody, welcome back to Building the Brand episode 4. This is a video that I haven't really wanted to make this week, but we committed to kind of bringing you our journey into really documenting different challenges that we're facing each week, which sounds really good until you have a hard week where your largest client fires you. That's what happened this week. And so this has been a week where we just had to be totally honest about what's going on. Why did this happen? Was it their fault? Was it our fault? Was it a little bit of a mix? And what can we do from here? And so when we stepped back and looked at this really was further evidence of what we talked about on last week's episode of Building the Brand, which was that our business model is broken. And so this is kind of an evidence of that being broken because for the last 4 years, most of our clients have kind of been in two buckets. One is like more traditional agency clients. We're creating marketing content for them. We're managing their marketing content. We're managing a lot of things online for them. More comparable work that a traditional agency would do. On the other side, there's been like the work that we really see Storyon heading in the future, which is building a membership site, having a community of small businesses that we're resourcing and giving them giving them educational content and all of these things, and also creating our own media that's encouraging and equipping to small businesses. And we've had these two buckets. This large client was in this big bucket, and for the last 4 years, kind of this bucket over here has been funding both. And so that all kind of broke down when this client emailed us this week to kind of say, hey, we're canceling our contract. And it was kind of like those texts that you get from friends or family or something when you just like know, you see the email pop up, you know something's wrong. And so as I was thinking about this, I realized there's one really big thing that we just have to own in this process, which is where Storyon is at right now. We can't handle everything. I can't handle certain types of contracts and certain size of contracts. This contract was probably a little bit too big for us, and it's really hard to admit that because I want to be able to do it all. I want to be able to handle it all. So over this week, as we've had to be honest with this, we've realized that most of our eggs have been, with these clients that they're paying the bills and we have the ability to do the work, but it's not really the long-term work that we see ourselves doing as Storyon as much. And so I've had to admit that I can't do it all. I can't take on every project. I can't say yes to every opportunity we get. So that's really, really hard to admit because we want to be able to take on all the projects. We want to be able to help everybody that we can. And so how does this relate to you who's watching? For us this week is we've had to just get so honest with, yes, there was challenges with the contract. There was challenges with some regulations of selling the product and different things. But at the end of the day, did we deliver enough value to justify them paying as much as they were paying us? And the answer to that is no, and we have to own that. And so for us, we're looking at it and saying, what do we need to be doubling down on? What do we need to be focusing even more on? And for us, that has to be the things that we see Storyon growing into long term. You probably know that we've had this goal that we've stated on these episodes of getting our membership site Success with Stories to 100 members and documenting the journey weekly of what challenges we're facing as we get there. And we want to do that because our desire is to have a community of businesses that we're actually teaching you how to market your business. We're teaching small businesses how to tell their stories well and how to create online content and how to grow their business online through marketing with stories. And so this week when our largest client that was paying a lot of the bills canceled their contract, we have to figure out how do we do this? It creates a sense of urgency around our membership site. And so it's going to be interesting over the next few weeks as we dive further into that goal of getting that membership site to 100 members. So for you, I want to challenge you. Yes, to be honest, we talk about honesty and authenticity a lot with this series. I want to challenge you to ask yourself the questions of, are there some projects that you're doing that maybe you could be doing them, but are there other projects that you feel like you have to be doing them? You love them, like it's in you to do these projects, and I encourage you to double down on those. I'll close with this. I heard the other day somebody say, if you wouldn't do it for $1, don't do it for $1 million. And I think as business owners, we need to recognize, yes, sometimes we're gonna have to take on more projects to fund to get us there. Like, yes, we have to do some things to fund the business, and I realize that. But my question today is, where is your focus? For us, our focus has recently shifted towards membership site and the projects that we see ourselves doing long term. If our focus would have been over here, then getting this news from our client would have been much more devastating, and it would have really shifted everything. But we've kind of been able to let it not completely destroy the company because we've already been shifting our focus. So this has been a hard week at Story On, but this is why documenting the journey is important. And this is why making some of these videos is important, because it's not all good weeks. Sometimes there's good weeks, and most of the times there's hard weeks. And so that's what this process is about. Part of the authenticity that we've wanted to just communicate and represent is we've wanted to check in each week with some of the metrics that we're following. And so I want to do that before we leave. New leads for our membership site. This week we had 2 new leads of people that are interested, which still leaves us just at 4 active members. So we have a long way to go to get to our goal. But we are thinking about that. We're working on that every week. And the fact that the last 2 weeks that we haven't had anybody new sign up it's a big problem. And so we're recognizing that. We did get 3 new YouTube subscribers this week, as opposed to 0. And then we also did get about 120 podcast listens in the last week. So there's some positive growth there, but those are still areas that we need to be growing in. And I encourage you as a business owner, figure out what metrics you want to be following on a weekly basis. Some of you guys have been, commenting on the videos and sending me feedback on these videos, and I appreciate that. So with that being said, we will see you next week on episode 5 of Building the Brand. And if you liked this video and you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. We come to you every single week. We're releasing multiple episodes every week of our different shows, and we're also releasing 3 podcast episodes a week with small business storytellers. So make sure to check that out and let us know what you think in the comments below. We'll see you next week.